watching EAC News. Thank you for joining us. Before moving on to a new post in Sri Lanka, outgoing EU Ambassador Carmen Moreno met with multiple Cambodian dignitaries this week. In a meeting with the president of the Cambodian Human Rights Committee, Keo Remy, she said that Cambodia is no longer a poor country in terms of resources or experience. She also praised the peace that Cambodia has achieved, saying that it serves as an example of soft power to its peers. Speaking at this morning's meeting, Moreno said that Cambodia should be ambitious and play a more active and leading role in sharing all of its experiences and achievements on the regional and international stage. She specifically praised the success of the Khmer Rouge Tribunal, in which the royal government paired up with the United Nations to try senior leaders of the Khmer Rouge in the early 2000s. She emphasized the importance of educating the younger generation and the general public on the cases and the judicial process, as it reflects the heritage and common achievements of all mankind. CHRC President Keo Remy said that the Khmer Rouge Tribunal Administration is currently preparing and constructing a room of international standard for the management and maintenance of a nearly 4 million page archive, a library, and a courtroom for the outreach, research, and training. He also touted the new administration as highly capable, wise, and prosperous, and mentioned that the policies in the government's new Pentagon strategy will assist the work of disseminating complete information on Cambodia's history in the spirit of maintaining peace, strengthening remembrance, and preventing the reoccurrence of such a brutal regime. Kristen Winters, EAC News. You're watching EAC News. Thank you for joining us. The National Assembly recognized 29 new members of parliament this morning who are replacing those that resigned their position to form the new administration, which took power on August 22nd. The session was attended by former Prime Minister Hun Sen, who is currently a member of parliament himself. EAC News reporter Anthony Ellis has more.
The decision made during the first session of the new legislature, which has attended 87 of the 125 National Assembly members. National Assembly member Kun Sondari read out in the declaration officially recognised the new members of the National Assembly. Upon resigning his position on August 22nd, former Prime Minister Hun Sen became an MP along with his former ministers, Men Sam On, Saw King, Tia Ban, who were all in attendance at today's session. In this morning's session, the National Assembly also appointed Yu Noi as a member of the Constitutional Council to replace the late Sam Pramnia. The Constitution Council is comprised of 9 members, 3 of each selected by the King, National Assembly, and the Supreme Council of the King.
You're watching EAC News. Thank you for joining us. The failed escape attempt of a Taiwanese drug trafficker in Siem Reap has resulted in a total of 13 people being arrested and imprisoned in Prey Sa Prison, about 45 minutes southwest of Phnom Penh. EAC News reporter Anthony Ellis has the details.
On August 17th, a group of masked assailants freed a drug trafficker from a 52-year sentence while he was at supervised dental appointment at the private clinic in Siem Reap. The incident was caught on tape and shows those in mask holding a police and a prison officials at gunpoint while the prisoner calms walks out of the office. The prisoner was caught in Phnom Penh 5 days later, and authorities have made a dozen arrests in connection to the case. On Tuesday evening, the 13 suspects were placed in Cambodia's largest prison on multiple charges, including conspiracy to commit armed robbery, illegal detention, aggravated robbery, barnishing weapons in the public, and money laundering under the new law of anti-money laundering and terrorist financing. The 13 prisoners are multiple nationalities, including Chinese, Cambodian, American, and Turkish. Anthony Ellis, EAC News.
You're watching EAC News. Thank you for joining us. The U.S. Embassy in Phnom Penh and the Ministry of Culture and Fine Arts signed a cultural cooperation agreement yesterday at the National Museum, extending the United States' long-standing commitment to preserving and restoring Cambodia's rich cultural heritage for another 5 years. EAC News reporter Anthony Ellis has the details.
The first Memorandum of Understanding for Culture Preservation between Cambodia and the U.S. was signed in 2003. Cambodia is the only country in Southeast Asia with such an agreement. Yesterday's MOU is meant to reduce the pillaging of irreplaceable archaeological material from Cambodia and continued exchange of archaeological materials for culture, educational and scientific purposes to promote public appreciation of the access of Cambodia's rich culture heritage. Over the past 20 years, the agreement has facilitated the return of over 100 priceless antiques and built a capacity of Cambodians working on cultural heritage preservation. At the ceremony, US Ambassador W. Patrick Murphy was announced a $450,000 donation to help restore the 9th century Phnom Baking Temple in Siem Reap. Cultural Minister Pung Sokana thanked the United States government for its continued support in the field of cultural protection and preservation. Since 2001, the United States has provided almost $6 million for the cultural preservation of Cambodia's culture, including previous grants to restore Previer Temple, support the Tuxtlan Genocide Museum, create digital inventories of objects at provincial museums, and educate the people on cultural heritage and protection. Anthony Ellis, EAC News.
You're watching EAC News. Thank you for joining us. Former Prime Minister Hun Sen said that he does not support any reforms that discard officials who have worked hard in the past. Before leaving office, he asked the new administration to take care of their predecessors and reminded them of his request again this morning. EAC News reporter Anthony Ellis has more.
On his Telegram channel this morning, the former Prime Minister reminded the new administration to respect the value of those who come before them that worked hard for Cambodia. Without giving any specifics, he referred to officials being removed for no apparent reason and told the new administration to be aware of immoral reforms that would cast out the previous generation. Before he left office, Hun Sen met with members of the outgoing and upcoming administrations on August 10th. There, he requested that new cabinet continue to take care of the old officials by providing them advisory roles in the ministries and institutions. The long-reigning Cambodian People's Party, for which Hun Sen is president, claims to have always valued and gathered intellectuals, scholars and talented individuals to participate in building and serving the nation and its people. The CPP slogan, "Keep the old, increase the new," encourages welcome anyone to the party who refutes to ties with Hun Sen's opponents so that the party can grow its numbers. Party members who control almost of the government are also expected to keep the old by allowing senior members to hold on to power in less active roles. Anthony Ellis, EAC News.
Watching EAC News, thank you for joining us. After considering suspending former Prime Minister Hun Sen's Facebook account in June, Meta ultimately decided against taking action in an announcement made yesterday. The royal government celebrated the decision and says it, quote, confirms the integrity of the information and content on the former PM's Facebook page, which was nearly suspended for inciting violence against his political opponents. EAC News reporter Anthony Ellis has the story.
Former Prime Minister Hun Sen enjoyed a large following on his Facebook, with 14 million followers in a country with a population of 16.5 million. His relationship with the platform turned sour in June. However, when Meta's Oversight Board, which is run independently from Meta, reviewed a speech he had posted in January and said he violated platform's policies. The Oversight Board's review of the speech said the use of terms such as bat and sending gangsters to your house or legal action, including midnight arrests, amounts to incitement of violence and legal intimidation. On June 29th, Hun Sen deleted his Facebook account, saying that the platform was biased. The government went on to ban all 22 members of the Oversight Board from Cambodia. 3 months later, on August 29th, Meta officially rejected the Oversight Board's recommendation, saying it would not be consistent with our policies, including a protocol on restricting accounts of public figures during civil unrest. Cambodia's Ministry of Posts and Telecommunications congratulated Meta on its decision and said that while it will allow Facebook representatives to resume work in Cambodia, the 22 members of Meta's Oversight Board are still banned from the country for making a recommendation that the ministry says it was political in nature and interfered with Cambodia's internal affairs. A spokesperson for the Oversight Board said it stands by its original decision and urges Meta to do everything in its power to deter public figures who exploit its platforms to incite violence. Anthony Ellis, EAC News.
You're watching EAC News. Thank you for joining us. Minister of Information, Net Pietra, announced internal reform of his ministry, which aims to modern the institution by preparing the workplace with sufficient materials and training officials on digital platforms. In a meeting with Ministry of Information leaders yesterday, Net Pietra said he will reform the institution to accelerate work output in line with the evolution of modern society. First and foremost, he noted that officials must have a well-stocked place to work, with modern equipment that reflects Cambodia's ascent into the digital age. He proposed that equipping the ministry's 70 secretaries and undersecretaries of state would serve to properly organize the institution, with everyone having the materials they needed to do their job. Another institutional upgrade aims to train officials in technology so that they can be up to date in digital society. He said his ministry will be collaborating with the Ministry of Post and Telecommunications, the Ministry of Public Function, and the Royal School of Administration to train human resources to modernize the Ministry of Information. He added that a good leadership plan must have capable human resources in order for it to be implemented effectively. He said that from now on, officials will be recruited based on ability and that people would not be able to buy their position at the ministry. He said that candidates for vacancies will be subject to examinations to determine their capabilities, and that those who score highest on the exams will fill any vacancies. Kristen Winters, EAC News. You're watching EAC News. Thank you for joining us. Typhoon Seola has re-intensified over the Philippines over the last 24 hours and is expected to make landfall in southeast China on Friday. As the tropical storm makes its way to China, Cambodian authorities are warning people, especially along the coast, to remain vigilant against an increase in high winds and rain. EAC News reporter Anthony Ellis has the details.
The Ministry of Water Resources and Meteorology forecast that from September the 1st to the 4th, there will be rain, wind and high waves on the sea, posing a serious risk to small vessels and coastal residents. While the whole country can expect an increase in rainfall and wind, coastal regions can expect continuous and moderate to heavy rain, thunderstorms and high winds as the weakened effects of the Typhoon Seola combine with low-pressure systems throughout the Southeast Asia. The ministry has called on the public to be careful and avoid any possible dangers related to approaching the storms. On August 28th, the ministry announced that Cambodia will be affected by the prolonged low-pressure systems over the southern Thailand, Laos and Vietnam, along with the weak effects for the Typhoon Seola in the eastern part of the country. Since then, the typhoon is intensified and displaced around 19,000 Filipinos as it makes its way to Taiwan. Anthony Ellis, EAC News.
You're watching EAC News. Thank you for joining us. The United Nations International Labour Organization, or ILO, commended the Royal Government of Cambodia for joining and pioneering the Global Accelerator on Jobs and Social Protection for Just Transitions initiative, with the goal of creating decent jobs while expanding social protections. Yesterday, ILO representative Octaviento Pasaribu met with the new Labor Minister, Heng Suo, to discuss the initiative, which is open to any country that would like to work towards their Sustainable Development Goals agenda. The ILO representative commended Cambodia for joining the program, which aims to help countries create 400 million decent jobs in the wake of the economic damage exacerbated by COVID-19. The program also aims to extend social protection coverage to the 4 billion people currently excluded from such benefits. Labor Minister Heng Suo noted that the goals of the program's agenda are in line with the priorities of the government's recently released Pentagon strategy under the leadership of Prime Minister Hun Manet. He said that as a pioneer country of this initiative, the Royal Government of Cambodia will prioritize the development of vocational skills and widening the scope of social protection. He urged all UN agencies to continue providing close and strong cooperation to further develop the employment sector in Cambodia. The Global Accelerator on Jobs and Social Protection for Just Transitions initiative was launched in September 2021 to help member states resolve crises, accelerate economic recovery, and invest in the development of a green, transitional society. The program prioritizes formalization, youth employment, gender equality, and the digital economy as the world's economy evolves. Kristen Winters, EAC News. You're watching EAC News. Thank you for joining us. Continuing his father's tour for factory workers in his second week as Cambodia's Prime Minister Hun Manet reminded the crowd of his father's legacy, which he credited with Cambodia's present development. He announced that his administration has two goals: to maintain the achievements of the previous administration and to expand upon them. EAC News reporter Anthony Ellis has more.
Speaking at a meeting with about 20,000 workers in Phnom Penh's Pu Sen Che district this morning, the Prime Minister said that the greatest achievements made by Cambodia over the last 40 years are peace, independence, territorial integrity and development. He vowed that his administration would continue his father's legacy.
អ្វីដែលលោកបានចាប់ផ្ដើមឡើងហើយនេះរាជរដ្ឋាភិបាលអាណត្តិថ្មីដែលមានឋានៈដឹកនាំថ្មីជាច្រើននឹងរួមគ្នាបន្តថែរក្សានៅសមិទ្ធផលដែលឋានៈដឹកនាំរាជរដ្ឋាភិបាលដឹកនាំក្នុង40ឆ្នាំនេះបានបន្សល់ទុកនិងខិតខំដើម្បីពង្រីកបន្ថែមទៀត